Welcome to the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. Our goal is to help you homeschool with confidence and joy. I'm your host, Matthew McDill, and we have as our co-host today, T.S. and Smack. Hello.
Hello.
You doing okay?
Yeah, I am.
Good. Glad to have you back.
Thank you. It's always good to be back.
Yeah.
So today's show is sponsored by the College at Southeastern, where students are equipped to give their lives for the cause of Christ in the church, among the nations, and in every aspect of society. Homeschool Conversations today, we will hear a conversation that Matthew had with Rachael Carman. And Rachael is an author and speaker and will be one of our featured speakers at the Thrive Conference this year. We're also going to share a powerful key for parenting and homeschooling as our homeschool tip of the week. And today we have a special edition of the Homeschool Reality Moment. Rhonda Cornwell and her daughter, Breah, they're going to tell us their experience about the Thrive Conference and how attending over many years has changed their lives.
That's right. So our homeschool conversations with Rachael Carman. Rachael invites moms to join her in loving God passionately and worshiping Him fully while sweeping up Cheerios, doing laundry, and planning dinner. Rachael has written 2 books, How Many Times Do I Have to Tell You? And How to Have a Heart for Your Kids. She has spoken across the United States as well as Europe, Asia, and Africa. She has 7 kids, and she and her husband, Davis, are the owners of Apologia Educational Ministries. And I would add that they used to be on the North Carolinians for Home Education Board. So we got some friends with them there. And also, we went to the HSLDA conference, and that's when I was able to sit down and talk with Rachael.
Oh, cool.
So this is a recording from that. So we'll see a little bit about that conversation. So this will be edited,
Okay.
so it doesn't matter if we say something we don't like.
I love that. Can we do that to my life?
What parts would you like to delete? Wait, tell us those. That's what this interview is. Tell us the parts of your life.
Oh my goodness, all the
that you would
times I
like
get
to
both
delete
feet
or
squarely in
mute.
my mouth.
Okay, tell me about your ministry right now. What's going on?
So we just last week actually launched a new membership site because I have an amazing amount of content, but not a lot of places to put it. And so I ran across a woman who gets my voice and my ministry and was so excited about talking to me about what it would look like to have a membership site. It was terrifying to me. I am not a techie, so I don't have a hard time coming up with content or developing content. I always have new things I want to develop. And she said, yeah, we got to do this. We need to do this. And so inside about, I think it was maybe 45 days from our initial conversation till when we launched, which was like on a roller coaster ride 24/7 for all that period of time. She did an amazing job, and so we launched it. And I've got, I think it's 30 hours of video content on this site, and moms are joining. And so I have an outlet for all of this stuff that God has given me. So that's pretty exciting.
And where do those get recorded, the videos?
They get
speaking you've done?
Some of them are speaking, some of them are podcasts that I've done. I'm launching a podcast in a couple of weeks, but some of it's for things
A
I've
different
already
one.
a brand new one,
Your own.
separate from Davis's. But I'm just going to add this one because again, I
Good.
feel like I'm trying to target the moms, and there's so many new ones out there. And then we're developing PDFs and just a community. It's off Facebook, so it's totally its own. It's actually an app. It looks quite legitimate, but just a place for me to be able to put all of this content that I have over all these years.
So you love this, the teaching part?
I love the teaching. I love the connecting with the moms. I love the aha moments when they're like, oh, I can do this. And I'm like, yeah, because it's what God's doing. It's not really what you're doing. So I love that. I love studying God's Word with them. I love paying attention to the little parts of Scripture that we read over all the time that has so much more meaning. And I love the celebrating with the moms when they see God do something amazing. Those are my favorite things.
So what are your favorite topics right now, subjects you like to talk about?
I really love talking about how impossible moments are actually God moments. And I think we all feel like we're in an impossible moment right now. It just feels like everything is swirling out of control. And yet, it's kind of feels too like a setup for something God
Something's
to do.
going on.
It does, doesn't
yeah.
it? I mean, it really feels like, oh my goodness, what's it going to do? Because I don't want to miss it, right? So I love that. I love all of these moms that are coming in right now that didn't really want to. So there's like 3 reasons right now. So there was the wave of homeschooling that was all faith. You know, had these amazing people who had a vision for discipling their children. You know, I was not in that wave. Then there was the forced wave where, look, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I'm just doing it for this moment. And then there's the fear, the people who got into this because they're afraid. And some of the fear is legitimate, right? The indoctrination of the curriculum or maybe COVID, right? But it seems that you can boil it down to those 3. I love talking to those moms and seeing how God is using whatever real reason they got into this and drawing them to himself. The moment when they realized that this is really not about home education, I mean, I thought that's what it was, but it's really about my relationship with him and about him inviting me deeper. It's pretty exciting to talk to them about that. So Bible study, meeting them in their moment, hearing their story as a celebration when they start to see God do something amazing. Best. It's my favorite.
So going back to those impossible moments, you know, we're at this amazing place in the homeschool movement with the exploding population, and also at this cultural moment that is really intense. Yeah. So what are you observing, you know, or thinking about what is or could be happening, and the importance of homeschool in this moment?
Yeah, great question. I really see God drawing people to himself. And I really see an opportunity for us to boil down, what are we doing as parents? What are we doing as homeschool parents? Are we really going to bank on reading, writing, arithmetic? Because this is our moment to bank on God and his word, and to give our kids what really matters, and the goodness of God, the faithfulness of God, the truth that's only found in his word. This is our moment to give it to them, because I'm going to tell you, we got a window, and it's not going to be open forever, and we need to make sure we're doing what really matters.
The homeschool parents who are listening now, and you have just another minute or 2 here to share something that would encourage them.
I just want to invite them to dare to actually do this. You know, it seems, I've always been that kind of person that I love a good dare. I mean, tell me I can't, right? Tell me that it's impossible. Tell me that it can't be done, or it shouldn't be done, and I'm like, I'm all in.
Okay,
right?
Let's go.
I'm all in. and I just think, what might God do? If you dared to take him up on the fact that he's actually faithful and he actually keeps his promises, what might he do in your home, in your marriage, in this moment? If you dared to take him up, because he's all about that. He is all about us saying, you know what, you promised you would never leave me. You promised you would never forsake me. You promised to be faithful. You promised you would do in me what only you can do if I would but submit to you. What might he do? I think that's a dare worth taking him up on.
Seeing what he'll do.
Yes, in this moment with these kids to change the world.
So you can learn more about Rachael and her ministry at rachelcarman.com. Just listening to that talk, that was amazing. And I actually kind of feel a little encouraged. I'm like, let me dare to trust God and to do this fully.
Sure.
So if you want to hear more from her, be sure to come to the Thrive Conference. And that's May 26th through the 28th in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, so that you can hear more from her. And you can learn more at nche.com/thrive.
All right, and we have coming up our homeschool tip of the week. But before we do that, we do want to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor for today's episode.
So at the college at Southeastern, we equip students to give their lives for the cause of Christ in the church, among the nations, and in every aspect of society. And that is why we offer a world-class conservative education at an affordable rate and a vibrant discipling community. With 25 ministry and marketplace majors and 4 5 year bachelor's to master programs, the college at Southeastern can be a trusted next step in your students' education. So schedule a tour of our beautiful Wake Forest campus today.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So our homeschool tip of the week, what I want to do is share some of the content from an article I wrote in the Greenhouse.
Okay.
So this came in the spring issue of the Greenhouse, and it was titled "A Powerful Key for Parenting and Homeschooling." So I was recently cleaning out the garage at our house,
Oh, fun.
which was really a big mess. But I discovered that we still had a ping pong table in there once I cleaned everything out. So I was like, great, let's set it up and play. So I found the net, and I started to set the net up, and I realized the net had been broken, destroyed.
Okay.
And of course, I did what I knew, there was no use in doing, but I went around the house trying to find out who broke it.
Okay. And remind us how many kids you have at home.
9 kids. Well, 6 at home now.
Okay. So
9
you have
kids.
6 kids. Okay.
Yeah. And of course, no one did it.
Of course.
No one ever does it. Do you have that at your house?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
You find stuff broken?
Well, I have little ones,
Yep.
so I hear screaming.
Okay.
And when I come to the room to figure out,
Yeah.
sometimes they'll just look at me like,
What?
Yeah.
We're just
you're-
hanging out
yeah.
in here, Mom.
I'm like, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm coming back.
So that's where we are. in
Yeah.
life.
So for me, finding stuff broken is very irritating.
Okay.
Because that's money.
Yeah.
That's time. That's why can't we just take care of our stuff? It is not that hard. And so I'm giving that story because that's one of those situations where I'm irritated and I'm struggling as a parent.
Yeah.
How am I going to treat my children? How am I going to talk to them in that moment of anger? Parenting is difficult, right? And we often run out of energy and we run out of patience. And so sometimes I've said things to my kids or treated them in a way that I regretted.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share, as I've been thinking and praying and growing, a super simple, basic idea, of course, that we all know, which is to love the kids.
Yes.
Love. And I want to make that practical because, of course, we love our kids.
Of course.
Somewhere in our hearts.
Somewhere. Some moments
we
it's
would
hard to
probably give
find
our lives for them.
that place. Yes.
But I mean, love them in the daily, day in, day out kind of practical love.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give 3 aspects
Okay.
or 3 kind of mindsets to help us remember how to love them, even when we get angry or irritated and things don't go very well. So here's number 1 is it's not about you. Okay. So most of the time when I get angry, it's not actually righteous anger.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get some righteous anger, but usually it's I'm irritated because something didn't go like I wanted it to.
Yep.
Something of mine was broken or whatever. And so the whole point was it's actually about me. I am irritated because I have been inconvenienced,
Yeah.
right? And so I might get angry or react to that. Or I might get personally offended because I was disrespected in some way.
And sometimes our unrighteous anger prompts in them a disrespect or disobedience.
Oh, yeah.
Which then
Then
we
it's
believe
on.
now is righteous anger
Yeah,
because,
that's right.
and it's just a mess.
And it's on, right?
Yeah.
It goes around and around. 1 Corinthians 13:5 says, "Love does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful."
Yeah.
That's a very high standard. Irritable? Love is not irritable? That is a very high standard, is it
Yeah.
not? And so anyway, obviously, if I can get my eyes off of myself, which is love.
Yeah.
Love is when I'm thinking, what is best for my child and what am I willing to sacrifice for that? And be able to focus on what is best for them at this moment and not being selfish. Sometimes that's going to cost me.
Yeah.
And how I treat my kids, which really goes into the next point, is super important.
Yeah.
Right? So, number 2, mindset. Some things aren't that important.
Yeah.
Okay. Case in point, ping pong net.
An old ping pong net.
An old ping pong net, right?
Found in a
I mean,
yeah.
it's not that important.
Yeah.
But, and in this situation, I don't think I did too badly, but I've been known in situations to overblow it
Yeah.
and to become angry or to treat my children in a way that I did not want to. And of course, we also know from 1 Corinthians 13:4, love is patient and kind.
Yeah.
So we keep the bigger perspective by remembering that my relationship with my child and their soul, their dignity, their growth, their trust of me is way more important than that thing.
Yeah.
But I have to keep reminding myself of that.
Oh,
Now, that doesn't mean we don't deal with those things. Sometimes we have to deal with the broken things. Sometimes we have to discipline and correct. But I have to get myself out of the way so that I'm not doing that in a way that harms them.
Absolutely.
And my relationship with them.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. All right, let's do one more. Number 3, it's not about making them happy. The version of love that our culture teaches often is you don't say no.
Yeah.
You have to affirm and accept everything someone believes or does. Yeah. That's what love is according to the culture.
Yeah.
That is 100% not true.
It's not. And if you're
right?
raising children, you hopefully know that.
That's right. I mean, there's some stuff you got to say no to.
Yeah.
And that is a loving thing to do. Hey, Mom, I'm going to play with these knives. No, you're not going to. Hey, Mom, I'm going to eat as much ice cream every day, all day as I want. No. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
It's your birthday.
Exactly.
But at some point you say no because you love them.
Absolutely.
Right? And I have to admit, I have a little bit of a people-pleasing streak in me.
Okay.
Most people do, but I have an extra dose, I think. And I love for my kids to be happy.
Okay.
I really would like to say yes to them. And so sometimes I'm tempted to say yes. Let's just make everybody happy because I don't want to fight, But that's not love either. 1 Corinthians 13:6 says, love does not rejoice with evil, but rejoices with the truth. So obviously there's a line.
Yeah.
There's a line there. Now, so the total context here is I have an opportunity to parent, to draw lines, to give correction, to give discipline, and to do it in a way where I get myself out of the way, where I'm not responding to them out of anger, out of irritation, out of being personally offended because I've been, disrespected in some way. But I speak the truth to them in love, in patience, and in kindness. So I hope those will keep our mindset on how to interact with them in an upbuilding way.
That sounds good. Again, I'm convicted because right on the way here, I think I was a little irritable. No.
Yeah.
I was a little irritable
Okay.
with my kid. And on the way driving here, I'm like, I got to go home and fix that. So I'm glad for these tips. So we have a link to this Greenhouse Magazine article in the show notes. And if you would like to receive beautiful printed copies of our magazine, you can become an NCH member by joining at nche.com/join. So today we're going to look at our Homeschool Reality Moment, and we are going to hear from Rhonda Cornwell and her daughter Breah, and they're going to tell us about their experience at the Thrive Conference and how it's changed their lives over their many years of attendance.
And I wanted to tell a little bit about how this happened. I was at a speech and debate tournament that my kids participate in, and I was judging a round of speeches. And one of the other judges, after the round, said, "Hey, I got to tell you something," and started telling me all about the conference and how awesome it was. And I said, "Hold on, I got to get my mic." So I ran and got my mic and said, "Sit here, put these mics on," and they told this story.
Wow!
And it was really amazing that this conference is such a life changer for them. So I love to share this.
All right, check it out.
Well, my name is Rhonda Cornwell. I'm from the outside of Charlotte in a rural area called Shelby, North Carolina. And I'm actually a physical therapist. I work part-time, but I also homeschool my daughter.
My name is Breah Cornwell, and I am a senior, so I'm currently living with my mother. And my desire is to be a creation scientist, which is one who communicates the abundance of evidence that the God of the Bible created the universe, and it was not the Big Bang Theory and macroevolution that is the origin of humanity. And I'm extremely passionate about this because of the teaching that my mother has given me. And this teaching has come so much from the Homeschool Conference because she was first exposed to worldviews, the importance of how you think affects what you do and your place in the world in comparison to other people.
The Homeschool Conference impacted me personally because it educated me on not just on how to homeschool math and finding curriculums in English and maybe exploring some colleges. I think the most important thing that the Homeschool Conference taught me was all about today's culture, where the culture is headed, apologetics, creation science, worldviews. It didn't only teach me, but it taught her, because my husband and her would go to some of these breakout sessions or some of these teachings while I was doing something else. And not only that, I would purchase some of the materials, the books, the CDs of the lecture, and then I would listen to them in my car to learn about, for example, transcendentalism, postmodernism, ideas that are taking place, that are being pushed upon our young people in our culture today, so that we see things through a biblical worldview, and we can behave with truth and respond accordingly, according to the way that God would want us to. There are a variety of activities that take place at the conference that are just so wonderful. I mean, they have a large dance in the evenings, and then a game night in the evenings. And something else that was very wonderful was that they had provided kind of breakout sessions for local areas. For example, the Charlotte area in North Carolina. Well, we went into this room, and there were only maybe 6 people there. And we met one of my daughter's best friends, who in 8th grade, whom we have stayed in contact with them ever since 8th grade, and her mom and I are good friends. And so we would have never met them had it not been for the NCHE Homeschool Conference, and then the effort that they take to provide opportunities for meeting other people and for just kids having fun in a large group setting with each other.
And it has been extremely encouraging and refreshing for me to be a part of that community, because with that homeschool conference, because I'm so used to being around phone-addicted kids who don't care about communicating, who don't care about God, who don't have that same passion that I do. And so it's just been a wonderful, very refreshing experience.
It is refreshing. Every time that I went to that homeschool conference, I came back all pumped up and ready to go. And not only, when I say ready to go, it wasn't just in my mind with what to do, like thematically or conceptually. It was also the vendors that they have, with hundreds of vendors there. I would go there and actually pray. Remember the time I prayed? I was concerned one year about what I was going to do with science for her, and I was praying that God would show me which curriculum to use for science. And I was walking down the vendor hall, and I saw this picture of this big moth on this one lady's booth, and then she had told me that
I had seen a live moth with my dad and communicated that to her, and it looked about identical from what I remember to that big picture of that moth on that booth.
Well, I know, I just got excited when I saw the picture of that moth, because I had been praying and there was some connection with the moth, and I went in there, and the curriculum was Nancy Larson Science, and it was perfect for her. But the point is, I never would have known about it if I hadn't gone to NCHE. I wouldn't have known. I mean, I learned so much, not just about worldviews, culture, apologetics, creation science that I passed on to her. It was, what am I going to do? What kind of curriculums am I going to use? What am I going to actually do?
And so then the experience that I got from that curriculum that was perfect for me, that she found through God in that vendor hall, now I desire to be a creation scientist and properly communicate that information that I learned from that science curriculum.
Also, at this conference, they have breakout sessions where you'll have leaders that have already been through homeschooling, and they will talk about the how-tos, like how do you get started homeschooling? How do you homeschool the younger little kids, and how do you work through the logistics of high school? And which we haven't experienced this, but they also have a graduation ceremony, and they also have a talent show. So what I started alluding to before was that I would come back from these conferences and just be pumped. I'd have everything I needed to know, or I felt like I did, and I did, because now I'm looking at it in hindsight. I can't imagine homeschooling without going there. I can't imagine it. It was so helpful. So it's a big weekend. It starts in the morning and it ends late at night, and it's just so much fun and so informative, and it's really changed our lives. I mean, it really has. And it's definitely changed the trajectory of her life, given that she wants to be a creation scientist, because there were so much apologetics that we learned there from all those, I don't know if it's just nation known or world renowned speakers that they have there every single year.
I love that story.
Yeah. It's
And
awesome.
I've heard a lot of stories like that where people are saying they didn't just come to the conference and, oh, that was nice, that was helpful, but it was actually life-changing.
Yeah.
And I know that some very important things have happened in our life in changing our parenting and changing our homeschooling. So I want to invite you to consider that. May 26th through 28th at the Benton Convention Center. You can go to nche.com/thrive and learn more about the conference and register. We're really glad you joined us today. We hope you've been encouraged and equipped. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, you can email us at thehomeschoolshow@nche.com. We'd love for you to subscribe and share on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, on YouTube and anywhere else you see it. That would help other people to find us. And until next week, continue to homeschool with confidence and joy.